Good morning, Facebook Live. This is Mike George coming at you live on this beautiful Sunday morning here in Natchez, Mississippi. I've been doing a lot of posts from Natchez here, as you can tell. I found myself sort of marooned here for the last 5 weeks or so. And I have to say, it's not nearly as lousy as it. No, it hasn't been lousy at all. In fact, I'm actually quite thankful that that this stupid boy left me here in Vidalia, Louisiana, just over the river, because otherwise I would have never had the opportunity to check out this wonderful. I don't know what other point in my life I would have just ended up in Natchez, Mississippi. It's not like I travel here for work or often, or anything often. At least, wasn't a previous highlight on my map. So I feel wonderful to know now that when I go back to Ohio and actually have some expendable income to someday spend on a lovely little vacation of my own, that I have a new home to spend it in, beautiful Natchez, Mississippi. And during my next visit here, I promise you, townspeople and hotel owners alike, I will be more than happy to spend my hard-earned cash at one of your fine local hotel establishments. As opposed to squatting in the presidential suite. Which apparently, that video of me squatting in the presidential suite has gotten a lot of attention in Natchez. Enough to where I've been banned from the fucking coffee shop. Because apparently the lady accused me of stealing a hotel room, which is not at all what squatting is. If you don't understand that squatting in an unoccupied hotel room that's being under renovation if that somehow is stealing to you, then your morals need to be put in check, honey. Because that is not stealing. Stealing, the way I define stealing is if my actions deprive somebody else of said hotel room. So let me kind of use the hotel example, for instance. So, in contrast to squatting in an unused, idle hotel space, which is not stealing, I would equate that the stealing equivalent of that would be if I would have, say, squatted in somebody else's paid-for room. So, say tourist B here is wealthy and maybe part of a Gideon's conference and just happens to lose their hotel key and it ends up in my hands. And I somehow end up squatting in that hotel room while that person's stuff is in there, that would be considered stealing, because that would be my actions depriving a hard-working, tax-paying American of their right to a hotel room. Now, in which case I would hope the hotel would have a remedy for that, but since I don't really play that game, it's kind of not relevant to this matter. So I thought a good clarification was due, since there had been some moral confusion regarding the morality or so of my actions. I'm a moral person, bitch. Like, I do not steal shit. The worst thing I've done is, I don't like to disclose all of my sins to the Lord on Sunday. It's the Lord's day of rest. The Lord's too busy hearing y'all's sins and trying to forgive you for them. Now, I shouldn't act like Natchez has been Natchez is, I will say, like, I've been, dare I say, homeless in Natchez for about 4 or 5 weeks. And, it hasn't just been me. It hasn't all been bad. It hasn't been, like, all negative. But I can tell, like, I can only spend so much time here before I start to become a burden on this town. And, if I'm very honest, like, I hate using the word use. People have been kind to me. Like, just last week and this weekend, actually, twice, I've had people, while I'm twirling Wanda outside on the road, I literally had 2 drivers on Sunday mornings, I think. They're probably going to church, so they're probably doing their, like, good deed for the Lord. I understand. But, nonetheless, I had 2 drivers, like, pull over and give me money. while I was just twirling around Wanda, which I will say, like, at first I felt weird taking the money because, like, I don't know, I may be homeless, but I don't panhandle. I only panhandle on Facebook. That's why I've been sending out so many damn annoying, like, money requests on Facebook, because I just can't put myself in the position of panhandling on the street. Maybe it's a little bit of my own pride. Maybe it's just that I also don't want to be like that guy in front of that, I don't want to be like nobody likes a panhandler. I mean, like, the small businesses that kind of comprise Natchez, they're not going to want a fucking panhandler in front of their establishment. That's such a deterrent, especially from some of the, like, cute kind of old money folks that would otherwise shop there and feel really awkward having a person ask them for money on the street like that. That's just not my style. I suck at asking for money. Like, so me going around Facebook and asking for money, especially to a lot of you individuals, is, like, not a thing I like to do. I know sometimes it feels like, oh, well, Mike George is just asking for money so he can buy more weed. And, well, to be fair, that's probably true. But along with that weed, I also get food. And also that money does go to, like, me surviving. So, things like a hot breakfast in the morning. Hell, even just, like, paying for somebody to use their shower. Oh, God. Or even just buying a pair of socks from Walmart. That little bit that you donate goes to, I can promise you, it goes to keeping me sane and survived. Which, not that really matters, because at the end of the day, you're just giving me money because I don't know why. I mean, but honestly, like, to the people who have, like, donated money or lent me money throughout the last 5 weeks of this struggle, thank you. Because, like, I know Facebook's sketchy as fuck. And, like, especially nowadays, I get so many spam messages from people trying to scam me with some stupid shit. Like, donate money to Kenya. It's for some bullshit. I mean, so I understand that, like, my monetary requests are kind of out there along with a lot of bullshit. And, maybe depending on your predisposition, you would consider my own request to be bullshit as well. That's fair. I think I'm an Asian man. Lots of things are bullshit to me. And so are these glasses, actually. There we go. I'll try to get these glasses straightened out. So I know. Like, I know, like, I know it feels like somewhat like monotonous to, like, see me on Facebook asking for money and shit. And let's be fair. I like to think I provide a fair deal of entertainment to get your dollar's worth. So, to those who have lent money to Crimson Rouge Studios, either for me, which is probably more likely since I seem to only make donations when I'm, like, suffering on the street myself. I don't seem to be able to raise money when I'm actually living in a house. But, I'm realizing now that that's not on you. That's on me. I got to get more grant money. I got to hire some people to write me some grants to get some money for Crimson Rouge and Crimson House in particular. I'm sitting on some idle and wasted opportunities, to be honest. I probably will be hiring for Crimson Rouge Studios pretty soon, actually. I know I've mentioned it. It's a goal of mine to kind of get things started around springtime. My birthday's in March 17th. Funny enough, that was the founding date of Crimson Rouge Studios back in 2018 or so, back in Montreal. And so I think what we'll probably do at Crimson Rouge is have a meeting soon. And we'll probably have a couple meetings over the next month. One to kind of, I'll be sending out, my plan, I guess, is to send out applications for board member positions. What we call the board is the admin collective. And that functions as a sort of board of directors for Crimson Rouge Studios. So if you guys are interested in kind of how we spend the money that you guys have been generously donating, you are welcome. In fact, you are encouraged to join the board of Crimson Rouge Studios. It looks good on your resume. For some of you guys looking for leadership experience in a nonprofit, it's a good way to kind of get your feet wet in a nascent upstart nonprofit. I know sometimes, like, I know some of you guys have been involved in like Equitas Health and AIDS Resource Center and a lot of the nonprofit work that's directly related to some of the big institutions that sort of dominate the queer scene and some of the big cities like Columbus and Montreal and Portland and everything. But something that has encouraged me is I've seen other nonprofits come up, like similar to Crimson House in particular. And I've seen these like kind of housing establishments that have been set up by like women of color to kind of support other women of color that might be struggling and everything and needing a place to live. And so I'm seeing that this idea of a housing trust is not just me. This is a legitimate business model that I think I'm seeing work in other places. And so I need to kind of take some time and learn from them, learn from some of these other houses that are kind of executing the idea that Crimson House is trying to do, but have done so in probably more elegant of a fashion. And so that's something I really want to do. I mean, I guess since we're on the subject of Crimson Rouge, look ahead to 2023. I mean, shit. Basically, I'm hoping to establish some partnerships with some other organizations, like Queer Tech, for instance. Queer Tech is an organization in Montreal that I became involved with, which is, like the namesake implies, geared towards queer people advancing in the technology sectors. Now, their definition of their domain of technology sector mainly includes, like, developing apps, doing a lot of software writing, IT. I find that very limiting. I want to see some engineering. I want to see some physical sciences. I want to see energy research happening in our community. And unfortunately, those domains kind of seem restricted to some of the physical sciences and engineering that, you don't see a lot of IT people, obviously, in the field of energy work, which, I'm being a little unfair because, with the advent of the smart grid in my own field, and the idea of intelligent power systems, that's also kind of going by the wayside. We're seeing more IT people. So basically, we need IT people, but we also need engineers in the queer community. And a big crux of Crimson Rouge Studios, and particularly if you look under the umbrella, under the banner of Crimson Rouge, there's some specific organizations in, kind of within the Crimson Rouge umbrella, Steam Matters, Archangel Labs, which are more directly engineering focused. Steam Matters is sort of is going to be sort of a video repository of a bunch of introductory videos in the fields of engineering. I encourage you guys to check it out. It's got some good shit on there. Some good stuff that's both educational and entertaining. Stuff that will inspire you. Stuff that will make you think, why aren't I doing that? Why aren't I helping out with that line of research? And so Steam Matters is basically kind of a way for people to kind of get interested, get engaged with some of the stuff that's going on today in technology. So, and it ranges. I mean, I think we often pigeonhole what engineering is in our own heads. I mean, I think some of us still pigeonhole the term engineer to mean the classical definition of a train conductor, for instance, which could not be farther from the truth. First of all, there are no trains in America anymore, so what the fuck am I going to be engineering on that? Oh, thank you, Joe Biden. Nah, I'm just messing. Amtrak Joe, get us some trains, baby. Get us some trains. No, but yeah, I mean, obviously the definition of I find that the term engineering and science, the whole STEM kind of term I find to be a little excluding, and that's why I really embrace the STEAM term. The STEAM term includes art, critically. And I think we often miss the boat when it comes to how to intelligently integrate art and engineering together. To me, art informs engineering, and engineering inspires art. And so trying to separate them out into totally different domains is kind of a fool's errand, I think. And I think also misses out on a lot of opportunities for one field to inform the other. And so, a big crux of Crimson Rouge, particularly with Steam Matters and Archangel Labs, is to kind of get rid of those barriers. I want people to get involved. I want people that are interested in science and technology and math that aren't already engineers, that aren't already science people, that don't fashion themselves as nerds per se. I want to see the curious liberal arts person with no engineering background walk into the room and join us and think about getting involved in sciences. I mean, God damn it, some of our world's most influential science people out there. I mean, we all know about Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs famously dropped out of engineering school, dropped out of college, and he is what many people consider to be one of the greatest engineers in our modern time. I mean, now, not that Steve Jobs is solely responsible for the iPhone, but I mean, he really spearheaded the way for it, and he really led the team that developed it. So, I would say Steve Jobs et al., some of the engineers that developed some of the first generation iPhones, you'd be surprised at how many of them don't have engineering backgrounds. In fact, some of the people now designing iPhone apps have backgrounds in psychology. And if you think about it, psychology is all about making, influencing people. And, when you're designing an app, when you're designing a smartphone app, people, you'd be amazed at how much science goes into making these apps addicting, making people addicted to their screens by just simply modifying the shape of the buttons that you click on, the colors of the icons that you press. Those are just like with how a casino designs a slot machine to be visually appealing and kind of invites you to kind of come back to swap to pull down the lever one more time. That's the same way iPhones work, iPhone apps. There's an entire science of user interface design that's based around psychology, based around manipulating people to get them to use your app. And so, much like I'm trying to manipulate you right now to donate money to Crimson Rouge, or to at least check it out and get involved, those folks are making the sell just as hard to kind of get you to use their app. So, I consider psychology and sort of the neurosciences kind of at large to be quite, they often don't get lumped in with sciences and engineering, but in many ways, neuroscience is one of the most fundamental sort of studies of how people think, how people act, how people conceive of things and process information. And, today's engineering challenges are not just technical, but they're societal. And one I often hark on pretty regularly is, our habits of driving cars, and how in the year 2023, we still have not changed our ways to really adopt more transit-oriented infrastructure. At least, for the massive majority of communities, small towns, etc., throughout the states. Anyways, there's my plug for Crimson Rouge. Some of the other things we'll be doing, Wanda was a creation that I'm kind of housing within the Crimson Rouge, within the Archangel Labs sort of incubator, if you will, business incubator, product incubator. I think I mentioned last time an app that I'm hoping to develop that is geared towards minimizing food waste, reducing the amount of food that's thrown away from restaurants in particular. Some other apps I'd like to develop. Oh, here's a simple one. I use an app myself to keep track of my weed smoking, and it's very simple. I push a button every time I smoke something, and then I have a little spreadsheet that updates itself every time with the time and date of every time I smoke a blunt. And that way I can keep track of, that's my own little way. I used to do that with cigarettes. In fact, I still do that with cigarettes now, when I smoke it from time to time. I write down, I force myself to write down this date of every cigarette I smoke. That way I kind of keep myself honest a little bit. So, simple ideas for apps. You'd be amazed at how simple of an idea it can really take to kind of get something to take off. I think sometimes I have a habit of overcomplicating the fuck out of everything and making it seem like you have to throw on a bunch of bells and whistles to make something worthwhile. That's not always the case. Keep it simple, stupid, right? And so, in the spirit of keeping everything simple, enjoy your Sunday afternoon, Facebook lands. Hope you guys are, it's beautiful out here right now. It's about 20 degrees outside. You can probably hear some live music, right over there. In fact, let's take a look at what kinds of shenanigans are going on over next door here. Got some live music entertainments over yonder. Kind of see some. Yeah, you can kind of see just down the street there, where that blue tent is. Maybe we'll even hear it. I'm not sure. But damn it, a gorgeous day in Natchez. People are out enjoying themselves, and you really can't ask for anything better, right? So Facebook Live, I'm going to implore you to do the same. Enjoy your Sunday afternoon, even if the weather is less than ideal. In fact, that's perfect time usually to excuse yourself for a good video game or so. Just hunker down inside during the rain and just enjoy life on your couch. Which I would be happy to do if I had a couch. which is actually kind of like the blessing in a way of me not having a house, is I don't have a couch to just sit on and be lazy all day and play video games. So people often say like, Mike, you must hate being homeless and shit. Nah, it keeps me out causing trouble. If I have a house, I'm gonna be a homebody after all. And then the wonderful people of, say, like Natchez don't get to see my smiling face and my mischievous ways in their beautiful town. That's usually resulting in one or two fewer businesses that accept my money. No shit, I'm just kidding. Now, Natchez has been a wonderful place to be, and and so many of the people here. God damn it, like the people here are just wonderful. The people here are so nice and like genuine in a way. Like they're not nice because they want something from me. They're nice because they just, God damn it, because it's nice to be nice. It's good to be nice. It's nice to be good. So on that note, Facebook, be good to yourselves, take care of yourselves, and take care of somebody else. Enjoy your Sunday afternoon, and until we meet again, à tout à l'heure.